Hello, I got a beautiful question from Orange, who is somebody that is in the Agency Enlightened Discord group, which is a free Discord group. Anybody can join and ask questions. He said, "Hey Taylor, I'm 17 and currently running a marketing agency. This thing is, I'm really struggling to balance it with school. It's my last year and I barely find time to study. I haven't told my parents about the business because I feel like if I do, they'll think I've got everything figured out. And while I'm doing well, I don't want them or even myself to believe I'm already at the top. There's so much more I want to achieve, and that drive to create more is what pushes me forward. But here's the thing. When I sit down to study, all I can think about is outreach and agency work. Do you have any advice on how to manage my time better? I really need to get my schoolwork on track while keeping my business running." First of all, Mr. Orange or Mrs. Orange, congrats on being in school and having an agency and going through the process of building a business. It is like you have 2 full-time jobs right now. So that is a lot. I'll just hop out of the DMs here and I'll answer your question to the best of my ability. Well, actually, the first thing that you said, I'm barely finding, I haven't told my parents about it because I feel like if I do, they'll think I've got everything figured out. So that's a presumption. The way in which you communicate things to your parents is what determines the way in which they will react and think, So if you go to your parents and you say, "Hey, I want to let you guys know I have a business going on right now and it's making some money." You can be as transparent or not transparent as you want with the money and how much you're making. It's up to you. It's your decision. But at a minimum, I think it's wise to have the conversation, tell them, "I'm doing my best to run this business, which has a lot of potential for growth and scale, while also, getting good grades. So I just want to let you know I'm doing my best to do both, because this is something I'm extraordinarily passionate about. I, at the end of the day, probably care more about business and growing this thing, but I recognize that you guys probably think school is important, and I want to do my best to also, perform in school." So, I think that that's a reasonable conversation to have with your parents. Just something along those lines. It could be really simple. You could even just say, "Look, I have a business running. I'm doing my best to balance school and business. I just wanted to let you know it is very difficult. I'm trying to manage my time well, but it's like having 2 full-time jobs. I'm not asking for help. I'm just communicating with you what's going on in my life right now so that you can sort of better understand what's unfolding." I think that that's healthy, okay? I think keeping secrets from your parents and not communicating with them is only if you have very abusive and toxic parents would that be a reasonable option to consider, okay? So moving on. There's so much more I want to achieve and drive. I don't want them or even myself to believe I'm already at the top. Yeah, I mean, you have the humbleness within you to not believe that you're already at the top, so I wouldn't worry about that. The fact that you've even made that statement is sort of the evidence that you are not somebody who is narcissistically oriented around thinking that you're the best and you already have it all figured out. I think it's very obvious at 17. Well, it's not very obvious, but there are some souls like yourself who understand that they have so much more to learn. I can't even begin to tell you how much more you have to learn, as I am a full decade ahead of you at 27 years old and running, starting my agency at 19 right after I graduated high school and growing it and then eventually exiting it at 26 years old. I just couldn't fathom the unknown unknowns, the things I didn't know that I didn't know. So don't worry about that, because it seems like you already have a humble foundation, which is really beautiful. Okay, let's see. Yeah, when you sit down to study, all you can think about is outreach and agency work. I don't blame you. It's tough. I feel like if that's all you're thinking about, that's what your soul wants to do. You want to pour your energy into the business. But at that age, you feel like if you don't get good grades in school, you're going to be a failure and you're going to let your parents down. So it's a dichotomy. It's a catch-22 scenario where you have 2 options. You can have 2 full-time jobs, or you can quit one job and go all in on the other job. But quitting one job, such as school, would require having very strong communication and confidence in yourself to pursue the business and entrepreneurial path. I want to be very clear about that. If you want to pursue that path and quit school, you have to have full conviction that this is the path that you're going down. And I do recommend it because I personally went down that path. I didn't quit high school, but I wish I did. I just didn't have the conviction and confidence within myself to be able to communicate to my parents, what I was doing. I also didn't have a successful business running in high school. I had lots of startups that were all failed ventures. They weren't making money. If they were making money, I would have been in the situation that you're in, and I would have heavily considered quitting school. But when I was running the agency, when I started my agency and I started making money, I immediately quit my full-time job with my dad. Immediately, as soon as I saw my first client. And my communication skills were not that great with him. I wish I communicated more effectively with him and more clearly. But anyways, I don't need to get into my personal story too much. I understand what you're going through, but those are your 2 options. So I think it's worth it to have a conversation with yourself first about whether or not you feel like you have the courage, confidence, and communication abilities to have that conversation with your parents, assuming you want to drop out of school. If you don't feel like you have the communication, confidence, and courage to do such a thing, then just have the confidence to communicate what's going on in your life with your parents, because they're your parents. They love you. They brought you into this world. And they'll be so grateful to receive open communication and vulnerability from you on what's going on in your life and how you're dealing with balancing these 2 incredibly different worlds. Okay? And I really commend you. I'm super proud of you. It's amazing what you're doing. It's not common. It's very rare. There's very few people on this planet that are 17 years old running a business, a marketing agency in high school. So rare. I love what you're doing. I love it. If you were a stock, I would buy some of your stock and invest in you. But it's not that easy. If I was to invest in you, it'd be a whole lot of paperwork and legal jargon and all that. So, although I would love to create an angel fund in investing in young agency owners. That'd be super cool. And I would consider such a thing. I just don't have the time and energy to do it. So I commend you for that. Here's the thing. When I sit down and study, all I can think about is agency work. Do you have any advice on how I'm to manage my time better? Okay. So time management. Well, before you even touch time management, you need to figure out what you want to do. You need to try to sit down and have this conversation with yourself, like I said. And if you decide to work 2 full-time jobs, have school and have business going on at the same time, at a minimum, you need to communicate with your parents. That will emotionally free up so much energy for you, because right now you're bottling it all up inside. It's just you, and you. And you're too afraid to communicate openly with your parents because you don't want them to believe that you're at the top or come across as egotistical or whatever. And they will not think that if you can communicate properly and softly with love and just openly to them. It's not that you're telling them what to do or how to do something. You're just sharing that with them, what's going on in your life. That's it. Okay. So have that conversation with them no matter what. But if you feel like you want to leave school behind, if you want to go down that route, I just want to be very clear. As somebody who's going to have children sometime soon, and as someone who was once a child with parents, I would prefer if my child came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, hey, Mom, I have this business going on that I haven't told you about first. So I want to tell you about that first. This is what it is. Let me share with you what it does. I'm super excited about it. I'm also a little bit nervous to share this with you because I don't want to come across as like egotistical or whatever. I don't want you to think that I have everything figured out. That's not the case. I'm only 17. I recognize that. This is the business. This is what's doing. This is how I learned everything. This is, some of my clients. I'm making decent money right now, which is amazing and really exciting. Whatever. Share with them. Unless they're abusive, manipulative parents, then don't share with them. Okay, Orange. I want you to be a ripe fruit. I pray that you blossom into a ripe fruit. Okay. Once you then proceed to share with them what's going on, I would then, assuming you want to leave school, I would then have an open conversation with them and say, look, this business is going really well, and it's what I want to do with my life. I want to pursue the entrepreneurial path and pursue business, and I want to be able to, or you could say, and I'm really open to the idea and considering the idea of, leaving school so that I can focus on my business. And I'm just curious to get your thoughts on that, because, I understand that you're my parents. I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about that idea? So that way you're not telling them, I'm going to do this. You're just sharing with them, what do you think about this? And that's fine. Whatever they say, they say. If they say, no, sweetheart, you should stay in school, I don't think that's a good idea, you can say, okay, I appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much. And that's it. Just leave it there and let it percolate. Let some time go by. Let a week or two go by. And if you're still really feeling like, no, I want to leave school, then you can go to your parents with, you need confidence, conviction, and courage. And you need to share with them, Mom, Dad, I love you so much, and I appreciate your feedback that you gave me a couple weeks ago, but I really want to make this decision. And so I would appreciate if you could support me in wanting to make this decision and pursue the entrepreneurial path and growing my business, which is already growing, and I just want to be able to focus on it. If the business doesn't work out, I'll go back to school. I'm happy to do that. That's no big deal. I'm not going to lose any time, because this is what I want to do when I graduate anyways. I don't want to go to university. I want to pursue this, right? So you sort of have to become a lawyer for yourself and make your case in a way that is understandable, relatable, and the better option, so that they can see that as it is, okay? So with all that being said, time management. There's a million videos on YouTube that talk about time management. I won't spend much time here talking about it. So you can find some great videos on YouTube about it. This, for me, what I shared with you is what's most important. That's the most important thing. You need to have that conversation. It's going to make you grow a lot. It's going to increase your emotional maturity, your communication skills, and it's going to deepen the relationship with your parents, which is really beautiful. So I love you. Enjoy. For those of you guys who are listening to this and wondering, how can I get a hold of Taylor and ask him a question about business, God, spirituality, whatever, I don't know, whatever your question is, you can join the Agency Birth group chat on Discord, which is available in the description of any video on the YouTube channel or any of the recent videos. And you'll be able to join in here, and you can just drop a question below and I'll do my best to answer it. Okay? We actually also have a paid group. It's $100 a month. It's basically a charity cause, because the money is going to be going to the nonprofit that I'm running, Satori School. So if in that group, I host weekly Q&A calls, and it's just a beautiful group of agency owners at all different levels. Some people are doing $30,000 a month, $250,000 a month, $0 per month, $3,000 per month, $10,000 per month, $22,000 per month. There's also a couple of people that aren't even running an agency. There's one guy that's doing SaaS, software as a service. So he has a software business, and there's someone else that has a clothing brand, e-commerce brand, basically. So it's a beautiful, diverse group of beings. If it's of interest to you to join a community of entrepreneurs who are all collectively oriented around personal development, spiritual growth, business growth, cool. I recommend joining that. I actually don't even have links to that group. So as I'm talking about this, if that's of interest to you, just join the Agency Enlightened free Discord group and send a message in the general chat, and I'll get you an invite link. So I love you. Love you all. Orange, I hope this is helpful. And I'm wishing you the best. Congrats on where you are. You should give yourself a serious pat on the back. And I know you have so much more to achieve, but you've already done so much at such a young age, and just keep on keeping on. Your current vector is incredible. So I would invest in you if I was an angel investor, and I would buy a little bit of your stock, because I just feel it. You're amazing. I love you. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.